Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope everyone is doing well. I am just giving a fair warning. I apologize that I was not on last week. Um, it's just been kind of nuts with the kiddos starting school and just everything. And this week, I will say that if I start to have a coughing fit, I apologize. We have a little bug going around our house. So I hope everyone else is staying healthy and well and just doing great. As you can see, I have a screen up that's sharing results of a stool map test that I have done. I did it in July. And so I've been figuring out protocol and fixing my gut since beginning of August. Um, and so that is what today's topic is all about. It is all about stool testing and the GI map test. So I'm going to be using and I'm just checking to make sure everything is working, and it looks like it is. Um, but I am going to be using my own results from the GI map to really show just how helpful this test can be when you feel like you've done all the right things, you've gotten rid of those foods that create food sensitivities or issues for you, and things still just are not necessarily aligning, or you're not still feeling 100%. I I'm a dietitian, but I've walked this walk and I've gone through this journey as well, which is why I love being able to help others and try to nip things in the bud early on. And when I say I do understand, I really do, because I honestly have had my own issues, which again, I will talk about as I go over the stool test. But first, I kind of want to go over why take a stool test. And really, it's important. I don't make everyone do a stool test. It's really only if there are certain symptoms going on or not resolving, and issues are just staying consistent. Or we've tried everything. We know what food sensitivities there are. We've eliminated them, but why are things not getting better? So that is where a stool test can really help, especially for people with fibromyalgia. Here we go. And of course, I forgot my water upstairs. Especially with like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, autoimmune conditions, we have messed up guts. Not gonna lie, we have messed up guts, and a lot of times SIBO is a problem for us. If it's not, our gut is definitely still messed up. So it's important to figure it out what's going on. And so the health of the gut is important to our overall health. It influences the functioning of all body systems and is the foundation of all diseases. Like Hippocrates once said, all disease begins in the gut. And yes, right, he was. So stool testing is important in helping form you on the status of the gut microbiome, and it can help with supporting a diagnosis that is, getting to that root cause of the symptoms that you are experiencing. So this test can really help give insight to that gut microbiome into where, hey, maybe we need to heal a little bit over here. Maybe we have overgrowth that we need to address, or maybe you're not digesting things properly. What is showing up in your gut that we need to heal and we need to put back into balance? And again, our gut is a keystone player in our overall health and wellness, and well being. And it is a key player in disease. So again, stems disease stems from the gut. So the GI map test can help inform, digestive issues that are going on. If you have compromised immune health, as our immune system, majority of our immune system is in our gut. Brain fog, if you're having, poor focus, weight loss problems, mood disorders, anxiety, depression, poor sleep, autoimmune disorders. If you're having any skin issues, skin is one of the biggest indicators of something that's going on in the gut or having an imbalance in the gut. Joint pain, food allergies, and food sensitivities. Do you have a leaky gut going on that's causing these food sensitivities and issues to arise? It can indicate any hormonal imbalances or support hormonal imbalances because a lot of those are connected. And just your overall wellness, just having like proactive testing to see, oh, maybe I need to support myself with more probiotics here and specific strains of probiotics, not just general probiotics. Um, or maybe you need to aid in supporting more gastric acid in your body or digestive enzymes so that your body isn't working so hard to break down your food and you're actually able to have that support where your body's not overtaxed. So the GI map that I use from Diagnostic Solutions, it uses qPCR technology for greatest specificity, there we go, and quantification, and that's over other stool tests that are out there. So it can help determine the root cause of your chronic health issues. It can help provide that evidence that's needed to support a diagnosis and guide treatment. It can help personalize the treatment for someone, assist and encourage one to achieve their best state of health and wellness. A lot of times we can hear from someone, I think you should add blah, 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 or I think you should be using a digestive enzyme or, this or that to help with the healing and help reducing your symptoms. And it's not really until we see it on a test that we're like, oh, there is something going on. And now this is more realistic. There is something more tangible that's showing me that something's wrong inside my body. And so, therefore, I need to move forward and heal. And so, it can be nice to see that on a test. So, it can inspire confidence in decision making as well. And again, just provide that data for further support in that diagnosis and treatment that someone might get. And so let me just see if that's all that I wanted to get on the background. And yes, that is what I'm going to be doing on the background. So now I want to look at my own tests to help you see, what does this test provide? What value does it bring? And I'm going to create a little backstory for you. So I, do the best I can. I'm a dietitian. I do the best that I can when it comes to eating healthy. I do yearly detoxes. I really try to minimize alcohol intake. I don't smoke. I really try to avoid antibiotics and medicine as much as I can. So I'm trying so hard to support a healthy gut balance and a gut microbiome. I still, I've always had digestive issues ever since I was little. Taking out gluten and dairy helps significantly, but things, especially after having COVID and for a second time, and after having my second kid, my metabolism just hasn't been the same. Hormones just haven't been the same. I've had more thyroid antibodies showing up for me. So it's showing there's a lot of things that are still out of balance. I did a food sensitivity test. I did a autoimmune protocol. I've eliminated those foods that I'm sensitive to and I have issues with. And so I've done that, but I've still struggled with like constipation, chronic bloating, and just having that, distended feeling, sometimes having headaches, and just, knowing that something is not necessarily right. And so I wanted to take another step into seeing what is going on in my gut. So I had started probiotics and I was like, well, maybe I just need to have more probiotics in my gut. And so that's what I did. And that still did not seem to help. And so again, I took that next step to be like, what is actually going on in my gut microbiome that is leading me out of balance? Because I feel like I'm doing so many things right. But what do I need to kind of hone in on to really focus on? And so that's where this GI map came in for me. And it really has helped me. And it has helped a lot of my clients as well. And a lot of people, again, who've been figuring out their food sensitivities, taking those next steps on their journey, but still experiencing certain symptoms and just especially like digestive issues. So it has definitely been that next step to really take that other layer and help in someone's healing journey. So the GI map is set up to look at different pathogens, commensal bacteria, inflammatory markers, looking at H. pylori, and all these various digestive health and well-being. Um, and it kind of puts it all together to see what are things that are flagged and maybe not working quite as well. So the first thing on the DI and on the GI map is looking at bacterial pathogens. So or looking at pathogens. So it looks at bacterial pathogens, parasitic, and viral that are commonly known to cause intestinal gastroenteritis or that inflammation in the gut. Where really you can start to see some like fevers or excuse me, fevers, diarrhea, that general feeling of malaise, abdominal pain, that bloating, and it can come on pretty quickly and can last several days to several weeks. Um, and so this can really help us to look at and see, okay, have you had any recent exposure to, bacterial pathogen? As you can see, none were detected for me, but if there were some that were detected, then it could really help pinpoint, okay, here is what is going on and what is likely causing your symptoms that you're experiencing. Um, and usually it's that cramping, fatigue, nausea, diarrhea, the gastroenteritis type things. And so we look at the bacterial, and oh wait, sorry, they're all right there. Bacterial, parasitic, and then the viral. And so when we do, if there are things that show up and are flagged as high or detected, um, we come up with a protocol that's called the 5R. So what we do is we want to remove the organisms that are showing up. So either that can be through antimicrobial, antiviral, antifungal, or antiparasitic therapies. Removing offending foods can also be helpful as well. So, whether that's gluten or medication, dairy, anything that is antagonizing these pathogens, we want to get rid of. Then we want to replace and restore proper digestion. Maybe we want to supplement with enzymes so your body's not overtaxed and doing too much. We want to then re-inoculate our gut lining with probiotics and prebiotics. And again, using, what the rest of the test will show for specific strains that maybe we need more of in our gut, or maybe we have too high of certain in our gut and we need to also kind of bring those down as well. So it can be very specific for people on what probiotics are needed. And then we also want to repair the integrity of the gut and support the immune system. And so that can be anything from using like zinc carnosine, L-glutamine, marshmallow root, aloe vera. There are different things that can help with healing the gut lining. And then we want to maybe rebalance through lifestyle factors as well. So really looking at how someone's stress is, how's your sleep? Are you getting enough exercise? So looking at these other aspects of life and having those in balance and working on those so that you can actually help support the gut microbiome and reduce that risk of another imbalance going forward. A lot of people forget that stress is a huge problem for our gut. Being in a constant fight or flight state and a constant stress state can really disrupt our gut microbiome, lead to that leaky gut. So it's really important that, we are coming back to a balanced, calm nervous system. So that is one thing that a lot of people have to work on, myself included. And that's likely a lot of the reasons my gut is so out of balance. I tend to be in a very heightened stress state, need to learn to calm down. And so something I'm dealing with for sure. So then there is H. pylori. So H. pylori, nearly 50% of the world's population may harbor H. pylori. And it's a causative role in ulcers, chronic gastritis, stomach cancer. It can stem from low gastric acid, or it can lead to more low gastric acid. It's kind of this vicious cycle. You can experience abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, chronic gastrointestinal symptoms, heartburn, peptic ulcers. It can induce mucosal atrophy, and then other changes as well. And these virulence factors, so as you can see, I do have a little bit that did show up, and that could be from a really old exposure or a really old um, bout that I had in the past. It's nothing too significant, so it's not above the reference range. So it's nothing that's like active right now, but it's something to definitely monitor for myself. Um, but there aren't any virulence factors that showed up, and these virulence factors represent genetic potential for an H. pylori strain to cause pathology. So these are genes that code for proteins that will predispose one to more of a serious H. pylori infection, and a lot of times, could be more cancer promoting. And so that's when these can start to show up, and things can be very serious with that. But it's nice to know. It's nice to know that. So then looking at the commensal and keystone bacteria. So these are big hitters for our gut that, everyone has these in their gut microbiome. They extract nutrients and energy from our diets. They maintain gut barrier function, produce vitamins like biotin and vitamin K, and protect against colonization by potential pathogens as well. So when these are in balance, everything is great, working in harmony. It's, homeostatic. Everything is just, we want things in balance. And so, as you can see, I do have some imbalance, and then I do have a couple that are kind of out of whack. So there are some that are leaning on the edge too, like this Enterococcus. It's a gram-positive bacteria. When you get higher amounts, which this is starting to kind of near the, just be cautious type of, and it can mean that there's reduced digestive capacity. Maybe constipation is being experienced, or there could be small intestinal bacterial overgrowth going on. Again, I have struggled with constipation for a very long time, for most of my life. And so, a lot of times when we do experience constipation, it allows for certain bacteria, especially the more opportunistic bacteria, to thrive and feed off of that stool even more, and then become more abundant. So, low would usually indicate insufficiency of beneficial bacteria. Sorry. So this Escherichia also is slightly, getting up there as well, but it's still nothing that's like flagged as high. This one is a gram-negative bacteria. It's found in many probiotics. And again, I was taking a broad probiotic when I was taking this test. And so I can't remember if this was in that probiotic that I was taking or not, but that also could be why it was slightly higher, because I was getting too much of it. But if you have higher levels, it can mean reduced digestive capacity or excessive intake of carbohydrates. If you have low levels, it can, indicate that maybe you have low carbohydrate intake, or maybe you have a high salt intake. It can also indicate reduced mucosal health too. So as you can see, I do have one that's flagged as high, that's Enterobacter. And this one is a gram-negative species, and it is closely related to E. coli. When we have the higher levels, it indicates increased intestinal inflammatory activity. So there was obviously some inflammation going on in my gut. That's not necessarily news for me, especially with the symptoms that I was experiencing. If someone were to be low in this, though, that would indicate reduced mucosal health. And then we come to this lovely Acromantia. So if you follow me on my Foundational Journey Instagram or Facebook page, you can see that I did do a little post yesterday on Acromantia. And I did so because this one is a big keystone player in species and primary mucus degrader, but it's huge for our gut microbiome. So 2 to 3% of our gut microbiome is made of Akkermansia, which is the most abundant and significant bacteria in there. So we want to have Akkermansia showing up. It's very beneficial for our bodies. And unfortunately, I had non-detectable levels. So Akkermansia generates mucus-derived sugars and metabolic products that support the growth and energy needs of other gut microbes. It helps promote mucosal health and mucus production. That mucus is, that mucus lining is where our bacteria and ecosystem thrive and live, and they feed off of that mucus as food. And, I don't have that Akkermansia to help produce and keep that lining strong. So low amounts are associated with obesity and metabolic dysfunction. There are definite blood sugar issues I've had problems with in the past. I know that my metabolism is not quite right. Apologies, I'm about to have a coughing attack. And so this explains a lot of things for me in regards to Akkermansia not showing up. So what did I do? I started to take a specific probiotic strain of Akkermansia. And there's only one company out there that does have Akkermansia probiotics. And so I'm taking just plain Akkermansia. I'm not doing any other probiotics. I mean, I do have kombucha every morning to help with just gut bacteria. But I clearly did not have enough Akkermansia. And so I'm taking Akkermansia, and then I'm taking a polyphenol supplement. So Akkermansia thrives off of polyphenols and the plants and those colorful plant compounds, like, cranberries or apples, artichokes, a lot of those good prebiotics. And so I'm taking a polyphenol along with the Akkermansia so that I can, re-inoculate my gut with them and then have them thrive off of those polyphenols and also the rest of what I'm consuming as well. So I get a lot of different colors in my diet for sure. Roseburia was starting to get a little high, so that, it's still somewhat in the normal, but it's kind of the high normal. And this one is a gram-positive bacteria. It helps produce short-chain fatty acids, and it influences colonic motility. So it helps with that gut motility so that you don't have that constipation, and you are, things are moving through at a good pace in the body and, an optimal pace. It supports immunity and suppresses inflammation in the body. So when there are lower levels, it can be associated with a lot of different diseases like IBS, obesity, type 2 diabetes, nervous system conditions, and allergies as well. And the higher Roseburia could be why, I'm experiencing the constipation, or it could be higher because of my constipation. So, sometimes give and take. Who knows? It's like the chicken or the egg. And then just looking at the bacterial phyla, so it's looking at the ratio of these different larger bacterial groups. So as you can see, yes, both are high, but they're in a good ratio. So my ratio of them is normal, and they're likely high because of that constipation. And, that gut bacteria can really sit there and start to accumulate because of that constipation. So now going back or looking at the opportunistic or overgrowth microbes. So many individuals come into contact with opportunistic bacteria and may experience no symptoms, while others we can see more disease and illness in certain individuals. So these are particularly immunocompromised individuals, um, and it can cause gastroenteritis and inflammation at high levels. So a lot of times, symptoms of overgrowth bacteria or overgrowth of opportunistic bacteria can be like diarrhea, loose stools, abdominal pain, but we can also see constipation. And overgrowth and excessive colonization may occur when commensal bacteria are impaired by a poor diet, antibiotic use, parasitic infection, or a weakened immune system. So, as you see, I do have a few that are flagged. So, bacillus is one of them, and bacillus is a gram positive bacteria. They can be used in probiotics, and I was taking a probiotic that did have quite a few strains of bacillus in there. So, plus with my kombucha, that's likely why the bacillus was high for me. But it can also indicate reduced digestive function, um, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or constipation. So I wasn't doing myself any favors by having that probiotic. I was giving myself more bacillus, which was likely giving me more constipation and more overgrowth and reduced digestive function. So not great. And that is why I don't generally just tell people to take a probiotic if they're experiencing digestive symptoms. It's important to figure out, okay, I don't want to give you a probiotic that you're going to just feed more of that overgrowth for opportunistic bacteria. I want to make sure that your gut is in balance. Morganella was also flagged as high, and this is a gram negative bacteria, and it can produce histamine in the body. And if it's high, that can indicate increased intestinal and inflammatory activity, which not a surprise for me. But that can lead to diarrhea, but it can also be associated with SIBO. So I have fibromyalgia. I haven't been diagnosed with chronic fatigue, but I would not be surprised. Things have definitely gotten better though. But SIBO is also on my radar for, hey, is this the next thing if my protocol while I'm doing healing the gut from this stool test isn't working? If I'm not seeing improvement, should I be taking a SIBO test so that I can see, do I have hydrogen or methane abundance in my GI tract? And, then what protocol for that to help get rid of that overgrowth of bacteria. So SIBO is on my radar, but not saying that I have it. But it's just nice to know because I'm, looking at these different opportunistic and overgrowth areas. And a few of them are also indicated in SIBO. So that's where my brain goes. Staphylococcus was also high. The Staphylococcus aureus. So it can result from reduced digestive capacity and intestinal inflammatory activity. Streptococcus, that was also high, gram positive. It can be high due to low stomach acid, proton pump inhibitor use, reduced digestive capacity, SIBO, or constipation. So again, makes sense for me, lines up. It can also be indicative of intestinal inflammatory activity and can also cause loose stools too. So I already went over the Enterobacter. At least I want to say I did. Yes, I did, because that was up here in the commensal, and we know that that was already high. So fungi and yeast, I didn't have any overgrowth with that, which is wonderful. No viruses were showing up. No parasites were showing up. Awesome. But there were intestinal health markers that are also looked at. And there is another addition to this test too called zonulin, which helps measure leaky gut And so I typically do that one with my patients, especially if, food sensitivities are an issue, autoimmune conditions are an issue, leaky gut typically is a problem. So I like to see, where they are on that spectrum. So steatocrit measures the amount of fat in your stool, and this one is very shocking to me, as 40% of my stool was registering as fat. So that is very high. Um, it's indicating that my body does not break down fat very well or needs more help to break down fat. And so I have started using ox bile, digestive enzymes, just to really help break down the fat in the meals that I'm having. Elastase one is a good marker for seeing how your pancreas is doing in producing those enzymes, and how well you're breaking down your food. And usually we want to see it at like 500. So I'm still a little short on that. That's why I also added the digestive enzymes. I'm not getting enough acid to help create a good environment for breaking down food and the nutrients. And so I've done a bitters before a meal. Now I'm doing betaine HCl to help, provide that acid to help break down my meals, plus the enzymes and the ox bile. So I'm really giving my body all the support it can during meals, and really like focusing on my breath, reducing stress and tension before meals, and eating and chewing slower so that my body can break things down better. Um, so it looks at beta glucuronidase, which is a GI intestinal health marker, helps with inflammation. Um, it's a big indicator on okay, like colorectal cancer. Do we need to worry about anything like that in the future, and other things too? Um, So I had blood that also showed up in my stool as well, which was kind of shocking to me. And that can just indicate there could be like a fissure, or there could be hemorrhoids, or something. And that can happen, especially if someone is dealing with constipation. So just something to be aware of and mindful of. Secretary IgA helps with looking at that immune response and inflammation. Um, Anti-gliadin IgA is an indicator of gluten in the gut. And so I did have gluten somewhere, and I know during the summer I had an accidental exposure, so that did not help anything. And this doesn't mean that it was a recent exposure. This could be the number, and it's on its way down. But it did show that I am having there was gluten in my GI tract, and it's showing as high, and I don't do well with it. Um, and then everything else looked normal. Inflammation was good too. Um, and then it looks at H. pylori, antibiotic resistance genes as well, which I'm not going to get into today. Um, but that was what was really helpful for me. So what I'm doing now is I am taking a microbe clear. So I'm getting rid of biofilms in my body, which is easy to have happen when you have opportunistic overgrowth. They can create these biofilms, which then makes it hard to eradicate these overgrowth bacteria. And so, if you are using herbs to help get rid of that biofilm, then you can also get rid of and kind of kill off that overgrowth of bacteria, all while I'm then taking that probiotic to bring in the good gut bacteria, and I'm feeding it those polyphenols to help it thrive. So I'm killing off those other opportunistic microbes while supporting and bringing in more of the good gut bacteria that I need and want. And then I'm also helping my body with repairing that mucosal layer and repairing the tract in general with L-glutamine. So that's healing the gut lining for me. And then I am also taking those, the bitters or not the bitters anymore, but I am doing the betaine HCl to help with the hydrochloric acid, um, and then the enzymes to help break down my food. And the lifestyle factors of really slowing down, noticing my stress response, and really trying to, when it is heightened, bring it down, by breathing techniques, meditation, prayer before meals, that kind of stuff. So this test gave me such great insight and helped me pinpoint specific problem areas within my gut so that I can now address it, fix it, and I am starting to see the results. I am having more regular bowel movements. Um, I don't feel quite as bloated. So things are definitely taking a turn for the better for me. And it's going to take some time. So it's going to take a little bit. It's going to take more than a month for me. It might take 2 to 3 months for me to really start to see that regulation and everything. So this is why I wanted to bring this to you. It's been very helpful for me, helpful for a lot of my clients as well, and it has given them such great insight and a place to understand and pinpoint where they need more healing. So I just wanted to bring this to you. Show you the benefits of stool testing. Again, not everyone has to do stool testing, but I just wanted to put this out there. If you are interested, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am able to order these tests and help you on your healing path and journey. So, with that being said, I took a lot more time than I meant to, but I hope that you have a fabulous rest of your Wednesday. If you do have any questions, let me know. I'm here to help. Let me know your thoughts, and maybe you've done a stool test, and I would love to hear from you. What was that like for you? And did the protocol help you at all? Again, I love the feedback. I love the interaction. And I want to provide you with material and things that are optimal for you and help you on your journey. So, again, have a happy rest of your Wednesday. And until next time, I'll see you later.